Yes, guys. So let's have a recap of what we have discussed in the previous session. The transformation that we have discussed in the previous session is entirely on the row generation transformation. The row generation transformation is a transform. It is going to generate an integer values, and so what we are going to do is with those integer values. Normally, we used to use those integer values to generate a code for us, to generate a continuous numbers for us, so that we can look up into the respective table and we can get the data. That's what we have did in the last session. So as I mentioned, it is a generation or upstream transformation. It needs mainly two parameters: row number start set, row count, and we have taken plant data, the plant's item data, and we also taken how actually we are going to get a target records. Depends upon the user selection or depends upon the developer selection at runtime, whether the plant number, plant name P1 or P2 or P3. So if you have selected the P1 plant name, so you have to get the respective the number of items in the plant and what is the item number code starts in that particular plant. Then we are going to look up into that respective the table, and we are going to load the data into the target table. So that is what actually happens here as for the item description is considered. So for that, we have used three data flows in a continuous the flow, and we have taken one script object, and we have defined three global variables, and so we have seen two built-in functions like SQL function and the lookup function, and yeah, that is what we have discussed in the last session. And now in today's session, we will primarily focus on the SQL transformation. So we will see how actually the usage of the SQL transformation. SQL transformation is very simple and very straightforward. And if anybody is having a good knowledge, good what do you call a good hands-on on the SQL, writing the SQL language. So it is a cakewalk for the people who already know the SQL. So SQL transformation is very, very straightforward, very, very simple. But you have to know the SQL language. The guys who are, especially they are in an SAP world, normally they don't have any hands-on. They don't do, they didn't get a chance to do a hand dirty on that the SQL. So for those people, I request you to go to the fundamentals of the SQL, and so you have to proceed to learning the SQL, and so we can proceed further for the usage of the SQL transformation. The prerequisite for this usage of the SQL transformation would be to learn the SQL. It is very, very important. So as I mentioned in previous sessions, so it is very, very straightforward. It's a streamline and upstream transformation. Like the the row generation transformation doesn't require any particular input. In the similar fashion, this particular the SQL transform also doesn't require any input. It itself is an input. So we are going to use this particular transformation other than whenever we are going to we are not going to, or whenever we are not able to implement, or whenever you are not going to implement your business logic with built-in transformations or built-in functions, then normally it is recommended to go for the SQL. Because unnecessarily the SQL transformation will put a lot of pressure on the database system. So there would be a separate the named pipeline. So there would be named pipelines will be open for each and every database to fetch the data or to load the data. So for that particular instance, what actually happens is, so if we have what I mean to say the SQL transform, then it will create a problem on the database end. So there will be more stress on the database end. So that particular scenario, so normally, so unless it is very important, it is not, you are not in a position to develop the ETL code without using the SQL transformation. So don't go for the SQL transform. The SQL transformation, as I mentioned in the previous session, so it is works on the select statement. So I mean to say we can write a select statement in the SQL transformation, but it won't what do you call as supports the update or delete statement. So it doesn't require any input. That is what I have mentioned. So as I mentioned, with the SQL transformation, we can achieve the push down expressions. So that is that expression or the stress will be entirely handled by the database system. So that is what the recap of what actually we already discussed regarding the SQL transformation. Now the example we are going to take up is the standard example. So where so we have something called as the sales, order details, products, and the categories and all. We will try to take the same the set of tables, and we will try to proceed with the mapping sheet what we have for the sales, and we will try to go through each and every line of a mapping sheet and try to develop the same in the SQL language. I am to say in the SQL server, and copy and paste the same code in the SQL transformation and load the data into the target system. In any of the projects, normally this is the flow of the SQL. That's it. It is very, very simple and very, very straightforward. You don't have to use multiple combinations of, in previous examples, we have gone through like 5 or 6 or 7 query transformations while discussing regarding the case transformation and the validation transformation. So we don't have such type of complex the mappings and all. If we use a SQL transformation, very simple. On SQL transformation, query, and the rest into the target system. If you want to combine any particular, or if you want to join to this particular set, if you want to join any particular the table also, you're always welcome to perform a join in the query transformation. Okay, so we will see this example and we will proceed to the next type, next concept actually. So we are going to see that the concept would be something like if conditional clause. We will see what is an if conditional clause, how to proceed with the if conditional clause and all and everything. Now I'm jumping on to the server here. So it seems to be I have figured out like sometimes why the voice is breaking up. It seems to be the problem with the server itself. The server, whenever it is down or whenever the server is not responsive, in that case my voice is breaking down. So other than that, whenever I am speaking, it doesn't give me any problem. So I have identified it. Let's observe for today. So if it is still giving a problem, then I will change the server itself, entire server. Okay, we will take up the new server and we will proceed from there. And yeah, so do you have any questions, guys, before I start the topic for today? Say yes as a signal for me to proceed further in the chat window. That should be fine.
Hey Venkat, this is Chandra again. Did you had any chance
yes,
to
please.
upload your files?
1 second, Chandra. 1 second. I forgot. Okay, just give me 1 minute.
No, that's okay. If you did not, we need it because now we have the server access and we cannot do anything. And at least for the weekend, if we get server access, we can work on the weekends on some assignments and come back to you with some questions.
Sure, definitely. Can you just give me 1 minute, please?
Okay,
1 minute.
not a problem.
Okay.
And I'm done. I told you my complaint. That's it.
Yeah, if you told your complaint, so I have to rectify it immediately. That's it. Otherwise, once the session is completed, I will jump into another topics and other work. That's the only thing.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's
why I'm just reminding. It's more like yeah. Thanks, Venkat.
1 second, please. Yeah, not a problem. So I have just uploaded, Chandra.
Thanks, Venkat. And I also am checking with Kavi and also with the server support that I get my SQL Server access.
Oh.
Yeah, the SQL Server access also we don't have. So yes, we can log into the designer. I don't know which. When I log into the designer, there are a couple of databases, like 5 databases. One is HANA, another one is some SQL database. I don't know which one to use. I don't want to go and mess things up there, you know.
Okay, but I'm able to log in, Chandra.
Okay, why don't we do this? I don't want to disturb the class. After once the class, once we are done for the day, what I would like you to do is I will share my screen for 5 minutes and we will take a look at it.
Sure, definitely. Okay. So yeah. So currently the upload is going on, Chandra.
Okay.
So yeah. So what we can do is, so let me share my screen.
Oh, you want to do it now?
Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm sharing my screen actually.
Oh, okay.
So
sorry.
yeah. So we will see after the session. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's for sure. Yes. So let me pull up the.
Thanks, Venkat. And out.
Yep. Not a problem. If you guys remember, so this is what we have discussed in the previous sessions, like orders. So we have an order ID. So we have something called an employee ID, the ship address, ship city, ship country, the ship name, city, country. So these are all the fields coming from the source system. So from order table, so we have something called as an order ID, employee ID, ship address, ship city, ship country, and ship name. From the customers, the table, so we have something called a city, country, country title, the contact title, the customer ID, and company name from the customers table. Order details table, we have something called product ID, discount, quantity, and unit price. From the products, we have something called a product name. So this is a mapping sheet. I hope the guys who have attended the first session, so they already have an idea regarding this particular the mapping sheet, what we are trying to achieve here. What customer says that, so these are all the source, the tables, and this is what the target fields I'm expecting in the target system, and these 4 are my primary keys. I have to define as a composite key. And this is what the data types I need to maintain, and these are all the tables I need to use it in order to to fix the problem of order. I mean to say, in order to fix or in order to get the field name from the order table, I need to have the order table. But in order to get the products, in order to get the product name from the products table, I need to have a combination of all these tables: orders, customers, order details, and the products. Now I'm using the same join logic. What customer says that initially please get all the fields from the orders table. Once we are able to get that, so in order to get the fields from the customers table, so please use the orders table also. Similarly, in order to get the order details, the fields from order details table, so please consider the records, or please pass the records coming out of the combination of the orders and customers into this order details table. And for the product name to get it, so please pass the combination of orders, customers, and order detail records to the products table. So that is what actually happens. So that is what actually happens. What are all the tables required? What are the SAP tables? How actually the joins and logics and everything is maintained and all and everything. So this is in brief about what customer has given for the what is called as the mapping sheet standpoint. So we have to follow the mapping sheet and we have to develop the ETL code now. So if you already have an experience on any particular ETL tool other than the BODS, then it will be very easy for you to even to understand the mapping sheet and even to develop the code within the SQL. Now, as we are already in the SQL the server now, so we will try to write the code against our Northwind database. So please go through the what you call as a mapping sheet. Now I will try to open the mapping sheet so that it will be easy for me to sales. Yeah, just open in my desktop, and now we will see one by one. So what customer expects? The customer expects these fields from the orders table. Okay, I am fine with that. Okay, so customer expects, what customer expects these fields. So I will say that select order ID, after that employee ID, the ship address, ship city, ship country, ship name, from DBO dot orders. Now we will try to execute and see whether we have any problem here. Invalid column name order underscore ID. Okay, got your point. See here, these are all the fields actually we have to consider, but these are all the fields that they are expecting in the target system. So we have to consider these fields actually. Okay, so okay, now we will try to execute. Ship address. So we have to follow the same. The ship address is correct, right? So why it is giving the problem? Ship address. Ship address. Let us see. Why it is giving the problem? Let us remove this. Okay. Okay, maybe right. So now we got whatever the fields we have from the orders table. Okay. Then what are my rest of the fields that I am expecting? I am expecting these fields. from the customers table. Okay, if you are expecting these fields, just mention these fields in the select. But what customer says that if you are expecting these fields, how you want to expect? How you are looking for these fields? You are looking these fields by passing the order ID. See here, please observe carefully. It says that please join orders.customer ID to customers.customer ID, then get customer to city. Similarly, orders.customer ID and pass that particular customer ID to customers.customer ID, then get customers.country. Similarly, contact title, similarly the customer ID, similarly the company name, whatever you have. So all these things, how you are going to get the fields from the from the customers table? You have to pass a customer ID from the orders table to the customer ID of the customers table. So for that, what I have to do is I have to write an inner join. Okay, so it is fine that you are expecting these, but how you want to expect these records? By doing a inner join, orders table inner join with DBO dot customers on which field? Orders dot customer ID, that is equal to customers dot customer ID. Let us verify. So what we have, company name. Okay, it says that we have customer ID exists in both in order ID and also in the customer. That's the reason why it says that which one you want me to consider. I'm in confusion state. So please define what or what you want to have. So for that reason, what I can say that I can say that it's like something like orders dot customer ID that I can mention. Orders dot customer ID. See here, now out of because the cursor is in the confusion state, because the customer IDs exist in both the tables, which one you want me to take? Then I said that please take orders dot customer ID. That's what I did. Now see here, whatever the records customer IDs I have in the orders table, those customer IDs I have passed to the customer IDs of the customers table. When I say passed means it's nothing but a join. It's nothing but an inner join. Because customer will saying that I'm passing the values. So that is a functional word. Normally they are going to use it. So we have to convert those functional words into the technical stuff. Of course, you guys all know that. So maybe they're all very simple tasks for you. So that is one thing. And we are now dealing with the few more fields where the fields are coming from the order details table. So so we are getting here, these are the fields. What are the fields here? These are the fields that I am expecting. So now, because these are the fields, what I say that I will simply mention these, the tables, the product ID is a column name. So similarly, discount is a field name. Quantity is a field name. Similarly, unit price is a field name. Unit price is the field name. These are the field names that I am expecting. But whatever the customer ID I have passed here, those customer ID also I have to pass to the table called order details table. So that's the reason why I will again say that inner join the table called order details table. Order details table, inner join order details table, or you can also say that DBO dot inner join order details table. You can also say like that. On which field you can, so you either ask customers dot the customer ID, you can say that. So because it is case sensitive, so customers dot customer ID that is equal to you can say that order details dot. See here, so you have to observe the join condition correctly. See here what customer said that order ID and pass the orders.order ID to order details.order ID. So that's where actually we have to be very careful. Orders.order ID. So what I have to do here? So I have to give like orders dot order ID. So that is equal to order details dot order ID. So this is how actually, so we have to proceed further. See here, when I say order ID, again it is an ambiguous. So what is the field that you want to have? I need to have the field coming from the orders table. Something like this. So you have to say like this. Okay. Now I got a whatever I need to have. I need to have product ID, I need to have a discount, I need to have a quantity, and I need to have a unit price and all and everything. Now, what is, so I have to proceed with. So I have to proceed with the extraction of a product name. So the extraction of the product name, like what factors it depends on. Now, after all passing the values, please get order details dot product ID, then pass that product ID value to the product dot product ID, then get the product dot product name. That is what it says there. Okay. So now what I am going to do here, so I am going to proceed with the action of inner join. I want to inner join the products table here. On which the table you want to proceed, inner join products table on the condition. So you have to observe carefully the condition. Condition is order details of product ID to product dot product ID. So now order details dot product ID, that should be equal to products dot product ID, something like this, because we have an ambiguity here. So if we have an ambiguity, so you can always like go back to the product ID, from which table actually you are expecting the product ID. I am expecting from the order details table. So just clearly mention here, it's like an order details table. Okay, you can say that order details table. So sometimes yes. So details table dot product ID. Okay. So similarly, it is also an ambiguous. So so unit price, from where actually the unit price is coming from? Unit price is also coming from the order details table. Just simply copy and paste it. If the same field exists in two tables, then the SQL server will be in ambiguous state, which one it has to consider. So that's the reason why. So finally, what we are achieving here, we got a unit price, and after that I need to have a the products dot the product name. That's it. How many records we have? We have something called as 2155. That is a record. There are records we have. Okay, this is all about how actually we have implemented the mapping logic, what actually customer has provided. So that is what actually we did. Okay, so that is one thing. And the second thing here is, so if you remember, wherever it is possible, so I have followed the inner join, like orders, inner join, customers, and customers, the table is inner join with the order details tables. This order details table is again inner join with the products table and all and everything and etc. etc. Now, what we are going to proceed further here is, so we are going to proceed further with usage of a left order join. There are some conditions customer says that even if I have a ordered details or not down the line, I need to get all the records from the orders table. So in that case, what customer says that, so please mention the left outer join. Left outer join. This is what they would expect. They will say that I need all the records from the orders table and I need matching record from the customers table. Similarly, the same has to be passed on to the rest of the things. So left outer join. Okay, so again left outer join. Okay, so earlier we have a count of 2155. Now we will try to execute and see. See here we see that 2156. So 2156, why it is 2156 means we have an order, but we don't have a customer for that. When I say customer, so what are all the fields coming from the customer? So that we have to understand here. So you have to identify. For there is a customer ID in the source. We don't have any customer ID in the target. Let us see whether we have such field, anything, something like that. See here in the bottom we have one order ID, but that particular order ID we don't have any reference. Something like this. See. So then by looking into this particular table, the customer will be in a position to understand, okay, for this particular order ID 11078, they don't see any particular employee ID or ship address or ship city or etc. etc. So that is what they are going to understand. Okay. So similarly, you can also write right join. Right join means right outer. Right outer join. When I say right outer join, it will give all the records from the customer and it will give only the matching record from the order details table. Okay, so you can add the same way like what we did now actually. So right join again. Okay, so you can proceed further. Let us see the output. See here I see both now. I see two records more. Let us see. So what are those and where you were able to see any values or not or something like that. See here. You would able to see that the combination of the customer ID. Let's focus on the customer ID. So why we are not able to achieve it? If you are not able to understand by this combination of different tables, so what you can do is you can simply say that the select orders order ID, the employee ID, ship ID, all those stuff, the contact number. So after that we need to have the contact title, everything you can get it. So after that orders dot customer ID, after that the company name. So till this point I require. So don't confuse yourself guys, I'm just trying to give you some extra information regarding the SQL. It's not at all related to the BODS or not. Okay, so I'm just trying to give some extra information. So please let me know if you're confused, so that I will stop it. So from okay, so here we can have something called as customers. So you can say that right out to join. You can understand now. So how many records we have? We have something called as 832 records. Okay, so you can also have one more saying like orders dot customer ID. So let us see here. So we have 832 records. So we have something called as customer ID. After that, here you need to have that. Okay. You can identify. So what is the records we have? So how the records are changing. So all the information that we can have it here. Okay. So how many are, if you are getting the null values, you can always go back and you can always write a condition and you can get the respective condition here, what I mean to say here, the join condition here. Okay. If I do a right order join, I get like 832 records. If I do a inner join, let us take inner join. How many records? 832. 830 we have. If I do left join, so I'm expecting all the records from the order. Okay. So 831. Okay. Left join. This is a left join actually. Inner join I'm getting 8, left order join 831. So all the records coming from the order where it doesn't have information in the in the what you call as in the customers table. So this is how actually we are going to manipulate and we are going to write a join condition and we are going to like the practice in the SQL server and etc. etc. So this is where all the SQL the language writing capabilities will come into the picture. So this is you clear? So I mean to say, so whatever I have discussed till now, are you clear about this? Do you have any questions, guys? How we are trying to achieve it and all? So likewise, you can dig more deeper. You can add, like 2-3 tables. You can add only one table at a time. You can also identify what are all the fields, what are all the columns we have, and what are all the records that are coming, like more, and where it is coming more. And in fact, personally, like before starting up any BODS job, whenever the specs are coming up, I will just open the specs like this, and I will try to design the ETL code here itself like this, and if I execute normally, I will get a first-hand information. Okay, I am expecting 2157 records. Okay, even if I implement the same logic in the same fashion in the BODS using 4 or 5 query transformations, I should expect these records. So the development of an ETL logic will give you first-hand information. So you guys already know that the same logic that what we have implemented in the very first session is something like this. See here, the same logic we did. So if I implement the same logic, so I have to get same records into this sales underscore US. So that is what you're saying. So it is always recommended, if you have an access to the SQL Server, if you are using any other than the SQL Server, it can be an SAP HANA, it can be like the Oracle or Teradata or DB2, whatever it may be. If you have an access, just try to spend it is 1 hour also, that is fine, 2-3 hours also, that is fine. Even it is 1 day also, that is fine, before starting up your BODS actual ETL code development, because it will save a lot of your time and it will give you a lot of information, and it will give you like clarity on how many records and where it is going wrong in case of any nulls, in case of any wrong in the join condition. So normally you will end up with a end up with 0 records. Then you can, on the same day, you can revert back to the user and you can get the required clarifications. It is very, very important to please spend at least 1 hour or 1 day time before starting up the BODS the code development. So any questions, guys? Whatever I have discussed, maybe it is very simple to understand, but so do you have any questions, guys? The way we have developed the SQL in the SQL Server, the way we have gone through the things and learn everything. So do you have any questions? I think it's very straightforward, and most of the guys know already SQL, so for them it is a cakewalk. If you say yes, then I will proceed with the same implementation in SQL transformation. Okay, great. Now I will proceed with the SQL transform related data flow or workflow here. Data flow as usual, df underscore SQL transform underscore 6am-inc. Now go to the transformations. In the transformations we have something called as SQL transformation. Simply drag and drop the SQL transformation here. Then click on the SQL transformation. And now, so where actually your tables are there? So my tables are there in my data store. So in which data store I have? Here I already have a SQL Server underscore connection where my Northwind databases are there. So what I have to do? So simply go to the SQL Server, copy the code what we have developed earlier, come back to here, paste it, and click on update. That's it. We are done with our ETL logic. That's it. Go back. If required, use the query transformation. So if it is not, then you don't have to use the query transformation at all. Not a mandatory. but I am using the query transformation. Drag and drop simply. And now follow the instructions, whatever we have in the mapping sheet. In the mapping sheet, how actually the customer is expecting. The customer is expecting not order ID in the target, they are expecting order underscore ID. Not employee ID in the target, they are expecting employee underscore ID. They are expecting customer underscore ID. They are not expecting company name in the target, they are expecting customer name, similarly the product ID. So all the things that you have to take care. So order underscore ID, an employee ID, similarly we have something called as customer name. Similarly we have something called as product underscore ID. Okay, so similarly you also need to take care of a data types also. So now simply load it into the target, analyze the target SQL Server underscore DB, SQL load, right click and execute and click on yes.
Can we populate into one of the SAP table here?
Okay, great. So very good point you have raised. See here, whatever the connections that you are able to see, these are all the RDBMS connections. Can be an SAP HANA, can be a SQL Server, can be something else and XYZ. Okay, but we cannot, like directly pull a SQL. I mean to say the table from SAP. Getting my point? What I mean to say? So whatever you are going to write here, so you are going to select here. Everything is an RDBMS. Something like database only. Okay, it can't be any SAP related data store. We cannot access it. So in short, I can say that we cannot access or we cannot use the tables that are coming directly from the SAP applications. Getting my point? So that is what we did. Simply right click and execute. That's it. So we have something called as the port number 3589. So that we have run it. So we have something like 25 or 2157. That's it. So this is how actually we are going to proceed with an implementation of a SQL the transformation.
Can we load into SAP?
Sorry?
Can we load into SAP?
Yes, loading into SAP, it doesn't matter. Yes, we can load it. Not a problem. Okay? Yes. Loading can be anything. But whenever, if you are using SQL transformation, for the SQL transformation, you should have an RDBMS. That is the thing that we have to, understand here. Okay? That is a typical how many rows you want to fetch it in a single fetch, 5000. It will also enhance your performance. So in a single fetch, it says that I can fetch 5000 in a single hit to the database. If you have a 1 lakh, so instead of hitting by 1000 times, it is very easy for the BODS or something else to hit only by 5000 times. Getting my point? What I mean to say? So that is what actually happens with what you call as array fixed size as the 1000 instead of 100. It will increase the performance. So do you have any questions, guys? This is very simple and straightforward. If you want to join anything else, yes, you are always welcome. So you can join. So something like if you can join some other table, yes, you can do that. If you feel that if you want to join some other table, what is the table? Let me check. I have an access. No, I don't have an access. 1 second, please. TST. So edit, apply. Oh, it is also have not doesn't have any. Okay, have something like today to 9. So it is also having some problem. Account. Okay, not a problem. So if you have something like the table is something like you have a VBAK. If you want to join, yes, you can always join like this. You can always write a condition. Okay, that is also possible. And that's what it's your like the patience, or it's your like the capability, how effectively you want to use it. There are some projects where we used to write almost 50 lines of the SQL code here at this point of time. Okay, if customer, you will also get a doubt. So why you are doing a rename here instead of an order ID? Why you are saying order underscore ID? You can achieve the same. Yes, you can achieve the same even in the SQL transformation itself. So you can say that order ID, order underscore ID. You can also achieve the same. Update. See here, order underscore ID. So in such instances, you doesn't require anything here. See here, you can always remap it. Something like that. You can always do that. If you want a union, yes. So if you have any another set of results you have, so maybe you can always go ahead with the union. That is also possible. A union of another set of results. That is also possible here. So you can similarly you can also do like subtraction. So whatever the knowledge you have, the core knowledge in SQL, you can exhibit all your knowledge here. Okay, it is very makes your life very easy. In fact, we have like I have involved in one of the projects where like it is a data consolidation where the data is coming from SAP CRM, data is also coming from SAP ECC system, where we have to consolidate the data, and like for most of the scenarios we have used like the SQL transformation in that particular project specifically. So because like we have to get a lot of information like capital code header, capital contract line item, so capital quote line item, so all the different information if I have to get it, in order to get one field itself, I have to join 5 or 6 like the tables. So that much of complexity is there. In such scenario, SQL transformation is very helpful for you, because instead of going for a lot of transformation, it will make your life very easy. Okay, so that is an importance of a SQL transformation. Okay, so hope you understand the SQL transformation. SQL transformation is very simple, very straightforward. You have to understand all your logic, what you did in previous example of query transformation. Now everything is replaced. Simply, you can remove everything and you can create one SQL transformation and you can connect. That you can do that. Okay, so it's very straightforward. It is self-explanatory. Do you have any questions, guys? Before I jump on to the next topic. Say yes, no in the chat so that I can understand. If you want me to proceed to the next, or if you have any questions. In the meantime, let me pull up my next the topic. I have closed the PPT, so.
Venkat, this is Raju. So while performing the SQL transform, right? Are there anything that we need to?
If you don't mind, can you be louder, please?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I didn't understand, Raju.
Sure. In the SQL transform, are there anything like we should need to know? Like just now you said like we cannot connect to SAP, right? So like that, are there any other things like we can say like advantages or disadvantages or like performance wise or whatever like.
Yeah, the performance and all I have already told you. So performance wise, this is a push down operation. Obviously, it will increase the performance. And for the disadvantage end, it will eat away a lot of resources on the database end. That is, like the performance degradation from the database standpoint. And the limitation is, we cannot talk to an SAP data store directly. So prior to that, we need to have one staging, and that staging can be any RDBMS system. And that RDBMS, the system can be used within the SQL transformation. So other than that, you don't have any limitations here. Okay, so everything is straightforward and we can use it.
So in real time, like do they connect to SAP? You said like we'll be using some staging, right? So do they do that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, you're right, absolutely. So in real time, yes, what are the projects that I worked on, where my source is an SAP, but my company is, like very much interested to have a SQL Server as a staging at each and every place. So what actually they are going to do is, so they are going to do a scenario of load everything into the SQL Server first. Let us take an example that we have an SD tables and MM tables or what are the tables you have or FI tables. Load all the tables into the SQL Server first, physical tables, okay? And use those tables as my source. Then proceed with the rest of the deltas and etc. Getting my point? What I mean to say here?
Yeah.
Yes. There are a lot of projects where they want to take an advantage of RDBMS system. So and they don't want to use directly the SAP tables. Yeah. So I have even the projects where so I can contact an SAP table directly also. But the problem there is, I don't have any control over the security part on the SAP system. Because my BODS system is trying to read an application table continuously. So if the SAP system or my company feels that SAP system is not that secure, if all the applications will start reading the SAP system. So that's the reason why. So they will have their own set of one system that will read it and that will load into the SQL Server. Then the BODS system will talk to the SQL Server and it will load the data into the respective target systems. So that is what they aim. So we can also achieve in that fashion.
Okay.
So okay, it all depends upon the company's strategy and what is the landscape and what is the design, the solution architects have suggested at that particular time. I see a lot of companies where they still want to have a direct communication with the SAP and the BODS. They don't have any underlying, or they don't have any RDBMS systems. If they have the license, they will use it. Otherwise, they don't use it. They don't like it. But normally, whatever I know, all the companies will be interested to know the RDBMS system as a staging or whatever it may be, to know where actually what do you call it? The data or records are going wrong, or maybe it is going fine. So, what are the remedy steps and everything, etc. Okay. So let me pull up the topic. I don't know where it is. Yes. Now we are going to discuss the next. The topic would be something like the conditional object. So when I say conditional object, so within the BODS, it plays a very, very vital role in each and every design of your BODS job. So when I say conditional, so conditional is nothing but a if and else clause. But whatever the if and else, what you know till now in your experience, that the if else clause is something like a data level. When I say data level, so I mean to say that you have the point of like data level means, let us take an example that if any particular field is null, then replace with some value or string, else keep the same. So that is what everything, whatever you have discussed is everything would be at a data level actually. Okay. But whenever we say like conditional object within SAP BODS, we will be discussing more at dividing the process actually. So that is what actually you have to understand here. Okay. So to understand a bit more, to explain a bit more, if you remember the case transformation. The case transformation is also works on the if-else clause. If it is the category of the product is beverages, if the category is beverages, go to there, else go to something else. That is what we have discussed at the data level, the case transformation. But the if conditional clause will be helpful if you are going to work at workflow level. So that is the two different points you have to consider here. So unlike the case transformation, the conditional operator or if-else clause within the BODS is going to be worked out, the conditional operator, if-else operator is going to be worked out at workflow level. So that is very, very important. I mean to say, let us take an example that if the job is full load, then execute the full load related workflow. If the job is delta, then execute the delta related workflow. Getting my point? So in short, whatever the workflow and whatever the data flow that we have discussed till now, literally we are controlling all those workflows using the if conditional clause. Now obviously, like this is what actually happens. So I don't have to explain you in detail, so you already know that how actually the if-else will work out. But so let us take a brief example here. So we have something called as a workflow. So within the workflow, see here this is called as a workflow. So within an entire workflow we have a if conditional clause. Then what it is saying, okay, it says that if batch is successful, I mean the records are successful, then send an email. If it is true, then run the workflow. Otherwise, please send an email to all the people who are there in the email distribution. So that is a very simple example, but rather than going for this example, we will see here the example what we are going to discuss. So I have taken an example where I am using a conditional object where the conditional object will execute the data flow if there is a file exists in the shared folder. I mean to say, like, there is a real-time project where the project says that I may load one file at a time. Please check if the file is there in the shared folder or not. So daily morning 8 o'clock you are scheduling your BODS job. But before executing your BODS job, what customer says that by 7 o'clock I may place the file in the shared folder, because for my BODS job the file is my source. So because of that particular reason, customer may place the file by 7 o'clock, may 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Sometimes he may not place the file. In that scenario, you don't have to execute the BODS job. It is a waste of your resources, and it will, even slow down other jobs. Because in a production system, we have 1,000 jobs, maybe we have 500 jobs. We have 200 jobs are running. So if there is no file, so why to run the BODS job and unnecessarily consume the resources? So for that particular reason, so what we are going to do is we are going to see, or we are going to achieve the file in the folder. If it is file there, then we are going to execute the job, otherwise no. So for that particular reason, so I'm going to take a file, I'm going to place a file in the folder, and I'm going to define a data flow. And if the file is there in the folder, then I will proceed with the respective what you call as the data flow. Otherwise, I will leave the job. It won't execute. Okay, that is an example that we are going to see as from the conditional object standpoint. Now, so we will be jumping onto the server. Now I have taken one real-time the file. The file name is something called as zproduct_db. So it is having information regarding the material number, the material code, the basic description of that material. So so we have something called as suction tubes. It is the pharma related information here. Okay. So what is the material the description? Maybe it's just an attributes. So all the information that is mentioned in this particular what do you call a file. This is a real-time the file that I've taken from the project, and I have cut down some of the records. Okay. So now we are going to consider one file at a time. And so we will proceed from there. Once this is completed, this conditional clause is completed, the next interesting example would be the while loop. So we will take up a while loop within a different scenario where customer says that, okay, so maybe sometimes I may place 100 files, sometimes I may place 2 files, sometimes I may place 0 files. Sometimes I may place 5 files. So maybe I cannot place a file at all. So it depends upon the file placement. So it depends upon the number of files. You have to take only one file at a time and load it, and again come back and see the folder and take the second file and load it into the target system. Again come back, take the third file and move the file into the move the file into the target table. So please complete this process recursively. Please run the job recursively until whatever the files I have in the folders are completely or successfully loaded. That can be 100 files, that can be 50 files. If you have a 50 files or 5 files or 10 files, so please take one file at a time and complete all the 10 files, then exit out of the file pool. Okay, so that is also a real time. This is a real time example that I am taking. So this is how normally the while loop or this if conditional clause usage will be there in the projects. Okay, that we will see then. So how to proceed further and all and everything. But in today's session, we will try to focus on, most of our time. So probably another, the 45 minutes we will spend on this particular if conditional clause. So once that is completed, so we will wind up the session and we will proceed for tomorrow. That is an action plan. So now, so I will jump on the server. And I will define a job for that. JB underscore I have something called as conditional operator So 6 a.m. IST. Okay. So now, but before further, before actually proceeding into that, we will try to extract the file. So we will try to see that if the file we are able to successfully load it or not, if the file format is correct or not. So we have to first observe that point, because if the file format is wrong, if there is a row delimiter issue, if something else is happening with the file, then on the first day itself you can revert back to the users. So for that particular reason, so you have to right click and but before that, let me have some water and come back. Just give me 1 minute break, okay, guys? So yes, please. So let me mute myself and just give me 1 minute. I will be come back. Yes, guys. So I'm back. So I will try to create a file format for the product. So FF file format, because whatever the file that I've taken, that is a text file. That's the reason we have gone to the file format here. So FF underscore what is the file? It is something like Z product. So I have something called as the root directory here. So in the root directory, I have something called as the desktop. On the desktop, I have the project folder. On the file names, or this is the file name that I've considered here. This is the data we have. And so this data is, like I have verified, what is the column delimiter. So I have considered the semicolon. There is no change in the data. I have considered comma. There is no change in the data. I have considered the tab. There is a change in the data. So you have to understand. So by looking at the table, by looking at the file, so what type of row, like column delimiter that is. And so if you observe here, the customer didn't provided any field names actually. Okay. So what actually you have to do? So we have to give your own field names, whatever the requirement. As for the customer requirement, you can give the names. Not a problem in that. So material, number, the first one, and the second one would be something like material description, And the third field would be something like unit of measure. Unit of measure, you have to, okay, unit of measure. So once that is complete, you can have something called as article code. You have something like special use code. So after that we can have special use code _0 we can have. Paste it. Okay, so special use code _1. Use special use code _2. You can use that. Basic text, something like that. So rest of the things I'm not aware of, so I just kept it like this. Okay, so it all depends upon the what actually customer wants to enter here. Okay, I simply left the same and I just simply said that save and close. That's it. Now I'm going to define a data flow here. So what I said, like df underscore. So you can say that something like a z product load, you can say that. Double click. Now simply drag and drop your z product and make it as a source. And these are all the like the different the fields that you are able to see here. And now simply use the query transformation. So if you don't want to have all, it's not required for you to select from till basic text. If it is required for you, you can always select the basic text. And now, so we can always so go ahead with the template table with your respective the target SQL server. Then we have something called as the Z product load. We can also have the D product load. Here we have simply connect and execute the job. Execute the job here. And now, so what the activity that we did till now? The activity that we till now is something like we have simply loaded what are the tables they have, so that we have loaded into the target system. What are the file name? So we have verified that if there is a problem with the source data, or whether we are able to load it or not everything that we have verified. So we have 57 records got loaded, and there are some errors have came up. See, it says that cannot convert this value into an integer. So what is the value it is we are referring to here? We are referring to the article code actually. Okay, it says that this value is there in the article code, but you want to convert into an integer. So that is wrong. So what we can do is, even the job is successful, so you have to be a bit careful while doing that. See here, the article code I have is this value, but I have just defined as an integer. So what you can do is you can always have a varchar of 14. Simply save and execute the job. Now it got loaded successfully fine. The 57 records got loaded. Okay, so this is how actually we are going to proceed with the troubleshooting. Normally the most common errors will come up whenever we are trying to load the data or whenever we are trying to extract the data from the file is the file format issues actually. Okay, a lot of file format issues will come up. When I say file format issues will come up means that can be a lot more. That can be like date conversions, that can be row limiter issues. Like that can be, like there are some instances where recently one of the projects, 100 columns are coming up from the .csv file, and we couldn't be able to understand where is the problem is actually. Like some of the data is cascaded to the next column. So we finally are able to figure out there is out of 100 files. Only one file is having some low row or like column delimiter issue. Because of that, as a mass load, whenever we are trying to load all the 100 the files into the target system, it is getting failed because of that invalid the column row delimiter, column delimiter. So we have to see one by one, and we have to fix the problem, or we have to tell the same information to the user, and user will get back to us with the latest file, whatever so we are trying to refer. Okay, that is the action plan we have. But till now, whatever we have discussed, so we have discussed regarding how actually the file format we have created and loaded into the target system. Now customer says that don't execute this data flow if there is no file. So for that, what I am going to consider here is I am going to consider conditional clause. See here, this is called as a conditional clause. Okay, the conditional clause. So I will say that if underscore conditional. Now I will what I will do is I will cut this and I will paste it here, and I will say that if some variable is equal to 1, then execute this data flow. Otherwise, in a script, please print. What do you want me to print? You want me to print there is no file in the shared folder. This message I would like to get in the log. Okay. So here, we need to have some variable has to be defined here. So whatever, if the file is there or not, that information has to be passed on to the variable, and that variable, if it is 1, then you can say that the file is exist and execute the data flow. If the file is not exist, don't execute the data flow. That is what actually. So we are going to understand here.
Quick question, Venkat. Sorry.
Yes, please.
In the else, can we put another if condition like that?
So within the same, you want to write one more if condition. You mean to say nested if, right? Yes, you can have any number of ifs. You can have it within a if, again one more if. Yes, okay. We can also possible. That is also possible. Yes, okay. It all depends upon the logic. Yeah. So if conditional clause. So what I have mentioned here, I need to have one variable where the variable will tells me if the file is there or not. So for that, what I'm going to define, I'm going to define one script object outside this conditional clause, and I will say that this script srt the script start, I mean to say. So double click in the script object. Now in the script object, I'm going to have one variable. What is the variable name? $G. I told you that the variable has to be started with the dollar symbol, but G means global. That's the reason why it is normal convention that please follow $G. Okay, so always. It is not mandatory to use a G, but it is mandatory to use a dollar symbol. Okay, $G underscore file availability. I mean to say file avail. Okay, so that global variable is equal to here within the BODS. So we have one function. So today I am introducing one more built-in function that is called as file exists. Here file underscore exists. What actually the significance of this file underscore exists is if there is a file in the path, then it will return the value 1 automatically. Okay, if there is a file, whatever the file name that I am referring here, if there is a file, then it will proceed further. It will like what you call as it will fetch the records, or it will return the value 1 to the global variable. Okay, for that I have to mention the file path here, and file path, that too the UNC path, universal naming convention, right? So what is the UNC path of this particular self project folder? Go to the properties of it, sharing, right? So this is the path. Copy. So the share, sharing permissions. Okay, let us see. If it is not working, then we will try to give a permissions. Just closed it. This is the path we have. And also give the file name. Okay, but I didn't didn't define the variable yet. So go to the job level. So because whatever I'm defining, I'm just selecting the job, right? So that's the reason why whatever the global variable that I'm defining, that global variable will have a power towards the entire job. We can use the same global variable anywhere in the entire job. Okay, the same global variable is not work out in another job. So that's what you have to understand. So right click on the global variable and click on insert. Sorry guys. And so anyway, like I told you that if file underscore exists function will return an integer value. That's the reason why I have mentioned like global variable. So that is of integer, and click on OK. So this is what actually happens here. Okay. So now, so I want to print that actually. So what actually it is going to return? So that's what I want to understand. So for that particular reason, so what I say that I need what actually the this particular variable will return actually. For that particular reason, I am going to say what is this particular global variable will show me in the log. So whatever the string it is there concatenated, I want to get this variable like what we did yesterday in the print. That's it. You can validate here, okay? Validate current. So you don't have any errors here. So once this is completed, so go back and so we can say that so if conditional clause and so you can also say that yes, the same variable, please use it here. If it is 1, please proceed with, or if it is not 1, then so go ahead with with an execution of this particular job, or with the send an email, or with the send a print in the log. You can do that. So that is what so we have understand till now. So right click and we simply execute the job. And let us see. See here it says that the file aware is there. That there is no file in the shared folder. Okay. So the reason here is whenever we are going to define the path, so you have to place one extra, like what you call as the forward slash here. Now see whether we are able to execute the job or not here. So then we will proceed further. See here, whenever I placed one more forward slash here, so I am able to proceed further with the respective $G underscore file avail underscore the variable is equal to 1. Because the file exists, then it has executed the data flow. In the monitor, in the previous log, what we have here, so because the file is not there, so the conditional, because there is a file, but what are the path that we have given that is not recognized by the BODS. The BODS, it has its own the syntax for some instances. So that's the reason why there is no file in the shared folder, and that's the reason why it says that there is no file. Okay. So this is how actually we are going to make use of like what you call it, the if conditional clause and the SQL server. So do you have any questions, guys?
Venkat, so the conditional operator in the Can you open the job once? So in this condition, so the DEF product load data flow has run. Is that right?
Yes.
So in the log, we are not seeing this particular, whether it has run or not. Where can we see that? In the current log. Okay. Okay.
Don, this is a print code. There is no file in the shared folder. This is a print code actually, okay? And whatever you have mentioned in the print, that it is showing. See here in the script. Yeah, in the script we have mentioned like there is no file in the shared folder. Because there is no file, if there is no file, then it will stay like that, okay? So, and also what we will do is we will try to remove the file from that location. Let us see. I'm just cut and I will paste it actually in the on the desktop. Now I will execute. Let us see here how it will go. So you got my point on. So you're able to see the print, right? So in today's session, what we have used one if conditional clause, if conditional operator. We have used one more function called file underscore exists. And so what we have used a script object. Within the script object, we learned that how actually the file path has to be defined. So what is the syntax for defining the file path? So that is what we have discussed. Okay. So any questions, guys, before we jump on to maybe next topic? Say no in the chat window so that I will proceed further. Yes, guys, just for change, I would like to take like a different topic than our regular topic. So we will see that, not a problem, the while loop in the next session. So, but I would like to start a new topic that is called as a data profiling. So data profiling is a concept. So can you just tell me what is meant by profiling? What is an aim of a profile? Guys? Anybody, any guesses should be fine. So what is meant by data profiling? Why we require a data profiling? Guys, are able to hear me?
Yeah, Venkat, is data profiling is how the data is flowing and at what stage what data is there so that it is used for debugging.
Okay. I'm expecting more answers, guys, please.
Cleaning of the data, like maybe like at the name level, full name and company name level, otherwise like address, these kind of cleaning of the data, having like a unique way of representing data. Like let's say for example, which a company name stands for like .llc or something like that. Something else come like with a .com or .commerce. So making a unique name it like everything is like .com. These kind of correct me if I'm wrong, Venkat.
Not a problem. Yeah. So any other answers? Please, yes, please, because it's already a bit more boring topic, data profiling, when compared to other topics. So that's the reason, just make it in interactive. Yeah.
Venkat, I'm guessing that it's used for to scan the whole database as such and give you statistics on top of the data. Let's say customer, how many times the unique customer values exist in a given region, kind of a thing. Statistics on your data. I mean, to give you the more count towards your data sets.
All right. Great. So thanks for your answers, guys. So any answers from Don, from Mike? You want to say something? Mike, Don? Okay, guys. So basically the data profiling is not regarding the data debugging. It's not regarding the data cleansing. So we are not going to do any data debugging, or we are not going to perform any such type of an activities in general. Okay. So it is basically data assessment. What is all about your data? So how the data is look like? So how many distinct values we have? So let us take an example that if we have billions of records, out of billions of records, how many records are following, if we have a phone, the number, the feed, so how many records are following the pattern? So how many records are not following the pattern? If let us take an example that the table is belonging to the entire USA. So all the postal codes, all the PIN codes, you would expect that in the same format, like maybe like some would be like 5 digits or some would be like 5-4 digits. That is the postal code. If it is a number, then you will expect something like 1 the 3 digits hyphen like something like that. We will expect like 10 numbers or 11 numbers, depends upon by adding one more also. So that set of patterns. So how many different values you have? How many distinct values we have? How many percentage of nulls? How many percentage of blanks? So how many, like what is the average, the string length of that particular entire field? So what is the minimum string length? What is an average string length? What is the median? So all the information you would be getting regarding the data. So you will try to understand more about your data. We are not going to do any activity with the data. We are trying to understand as it is how the data is. That's it. We are not going to do any activity to cleanse it, or you are not going to do any activity to debug or whatever it is. Okay, that is the basic information that I would like to give you guys. Okay, the data profiling. So data profiling, that is very wide word actually. The data profiling can be done within the BODS, and later on the advanced data profiling can be done in the information steward. Okay, so data assessment or data profiling is not that very regularly used in the very project from the BODS standpoint I'm referring to. Okay, where the data profiling from the information steward, that is different. So with operational system, so frequently changing, the data quality control becomes very critical in your like extract, transformational load. I mean to say like, so for some years you may use maybe maybe SAP ERP systems. Maybe after that, maybe from licensing issues and all, maybe you want to migrate everything into some other Oracle ERP systems. Let us take an example. So while maintaining the different, maybe the combination of different operational systems, so maybe you won't be able to get a chance to, or you you won't be able to control how actually data is getting entered into the operational system. So even though each and every ERP system, they have their own set of rules to what you call as define the fields in that or define the records in that. We don't have any control over how the data is getting entered into an SAP or Oracle ERP system. So for that particular reason, so what actually you have to do? So you have to determine and improve the quality of your structure. The quality and the structure of your source data. There are like a lot of different ways of doing that. So we have a concept called as profiler repository within the BODS. We have to make use of a profiler repository. It is like our local repository, so our central repository. So we also have one more called the profiler repository. The profiler repository is specifically meant for profiling the data to perform a data assessment. And what are all the places where actually you are going to view, or where exactly you are going to get this first-hand information? That is what we have mentioning here. The first-hand information you will get it is use the view data feature, use the like the design time or data viewer feature, use the validation transformation, use the auditing data flow feature, and use the data quality transformation. These are all, how to determine and how to improve the data quality. Okay, so use the data profiling, use the data profiler, and use the data assessment. So data assessment is very, wide word. So before entering or before the starting of your ETL job, ETL project, it is always recommended actually to go ahead and so to implement this particular data profiling, so that you will get a first-hand information regarding your data. That is all about you have. So what actually you need to have actually in order to proceed with your data profiling within an SAP BODS, you need to have a data profiler. That is a very, very important point to consider. So we need to have a data profiler if you would like to have in your system. So this is what actually happens. So the data profiler executes on the data profiler server. There will be a profiler server will be there that will be running on the different port numbers. So that particular profiler will be running on your BODS system. If that profiler runs, then you will get lot more information like the min and max and average value, min and max, the string length, so all the information. So basically the profiling is divided into three actually: the basic profiling and the detailed profiling. In the basic profiling also we have again two types actually: the column analysis and the relationship analysis. So if you have three the columns we have, then in that case normally we can have a column analysis. If you have a two tables and if you are trying to get a relationship out of it, normally like how many common records we have, how many union records we have, how many intersection you have. Before joining two tables, let us take an example that we have a VBAK and VBAP. And before joining, like these two tables in an ETL, so before that itself, I will try to perform a relationship analysis between those two tables. And I will assume that, like almost I need to have a 70 to 80% or matching records. Maybe according to your company, the business, as you know that, so I need to have almost 95% of the record should be matching. So that's sort of information. So you will get before proceeding into an actual ETL logic. So what actually ETL logic will tell you after joining the two tables and after loading into the target table, then you will be able to understand how many records you have loaded into the target system. But before proceeding into an ETL job itself within the BODS, so you can perform this relationship analysis between those two tables, and you will get a very first-hand information how many records are there between those two in common. So that sort of information. So you can say that most like a like the business user related tasks. And in a lot of big organizations where you have a lot of big implementations of an SAP BODS, normally there will be a separate user for that, separate developer for that. Normally the BODS user will not take care of these activities if you have a very, very huge implementations of an SAP BODS. Okay, if you have a less implementation, then obviously everything has to be taken care of the BODS guy. That is one thing. See here in the basic profiling, you will understand where actually you would get something like distinct values, null values, percentage of null values, and etc. etc. And if it is a, see here, if I have taken a value called, taken a Zender, the column called Zender. For the Zender, so how many records we have? What is the percentage of those records out of in the entire job? So in the entire table. So all the information that you could able to see here. Okay. See here, I have these many records. Okay. That comes like 68% in the entire the table. If I consider 100% is an entire table, and female records I have a 548. That comes like 30%. Unknown 23. If you want to understand the unknown, you can click on that unknown. Okay, and it will give you what are all the unknown values that you are able to see here. See here. Something like this. I just clicked on the unknown. It will give you the unknown. See here, all the unknown values, 23 unknown values we have. Similarly, with question mark, we have one record that comes around like 0.03. If you feel that why unknown is 23, according to my understanding, it should not be like more than 0.05. Maybe it should not be more than 1%. Why it is exceeding 1.28? Okay, there is some problem with the source system. There is some problem with the data that is exists in the source system that we are supposed to, that we are going to start an ETL project. Okay, so we need to concentrate on the gender, something like that. So getting my point? So that sort of information that you can get. Similarly, so we have something called as an employee group. Okay, see here, I see that there are like 4 distinct values, and we have something called as 495 nulls, and that comes around like 21% or 21.98%. That is very huge, from the table standpoint. Okay, so they want to understand to which actually the customer will be fall into, to which group actually. Okay, so if you don't know, the customer is falling to which group, it is very difficult for us to route the records as per the business logic. So by keeping these points in mind, okay, so before proceeding to any ETL activities, you can say that. So the percentage of null values of an employee underscore GRP is 21.98. It is not at all acceptable. Please send the same insight to your business users, and they will rectify the problem, and they will come back, or they will try to see that why these values are coming up as a null. What is the problem? While entering the problem, or where actually it got wrong, they will do some analysis, and again they will come back to us. Then we will start an ETL project. So this is entirely cycle. So we have to proceed further. Similarly, if I say like the detailed profiling, so detailed profiling will give you very lot more information than the basic profiling. The basic profiling will give you very few information, but the detailed profiling will give you a lot more. And when I say lot more, it will give you what are the data patterns you have. As I mentioned previously, so we have something called as the postal code. Okay, see here. So if it is a postal code 5, I have a postal code of distinct. So the median length is 5, distinct is 87, but country is 21. Okay. So if it is a 21 different countries, how many the postal codes I need to have? Maybe 21 postal codes. Maybe if the same country is having maybe 4 or 5 different cities. Let us take an example. Okay, maybe it should have 69 different the postal codes or same postal codes, something. So that sort of analysis that you have to understand so before proceed into an ETL activity. Okay, that is one thing. See here, I see that the region. Where is that region? The region value is having something like 60%. 60 records are null. So when I say 60 records are null, so that comes around like 65.93 records are out of our reach. So you have an understanding for these customer IDs. Actually, so we have a null. So you can always go back to the customer and you can say that. That is one thing. And this is all about whatever I'm referring to, the matching records. See here, we can have a analysis on the relationship profiling, where the analysis can be done on the table between the table to table, flat file to flat file, or table to flat file. So both are possible. It says that the percentage of non-matching values among table to table, the flat the matches and everything. Okay, it will give you that information even. See here, there are some records where it is having null. These records are not matching, so obviously null, right? So you will get a first-hand information of why these are null or not and everything. So all this information that are quite possible that you can understand within this particular the relationship profiling. Okay, there are like a lot more steps that can be we can think of with the help of this the relationship profiling. So let me have the notepad here so that you will get more information out of it. So I would like to take another 1 hour session. Do you have any problem, guys? Okay. So the silent, I assume that you don't have any problem.
Sorry, Venkat, I was talking to myself. So you mean to say that for 1 more hour today itself?
Yes, Chandra. Is that fine?
I want to check with
weekend.
Yeah. I see, rather tomorrow or day after tomorrow, it may be okay. Tomorrow
Maybe
again,
weekend,
we have work, right? We need to go to work. It's already 10 p.m. here.
Okay.
Venkat.
Okay, that's fine then. Okay. So we will take up the first, the first half, the tomorrow, the first, so we will focus on the data profiling.
Okay.
We will discuss the complete regarding the data profiling stuff. And so once that is completed, we will see the while loop. I assume that tomorrow session entirely will go away between these two topics.
Okay.
And so once that is completed, maybe day after tomorrow, we will start a new topic for maybe the CDC or maybe the slowly changing dimensional model that we will take up. And that is a plan I have.